solenoid valve and relay tester is a non-contact device that eliminates having to make a direct connection, turn off power, and most tests can be accomplished while the equipment's operational. Now, from what I understand also, there's no more tracing wires using schematics. It's really simplified the process, and it's really nice to make a direct connection and reduce troubleshooting time as well, which in turn saves dollars by dramatically increasing productivity. Now, the way I see it, there's no more need to follow schematics to isolate the terminal strip. You can actually go right to the solenoid valve and conduct your test, right?
Yeah, that's right, and it isolates it in seconds. If you have to go on a terminal strip and you need a schematic to find out where it is, because in production areas generally, in aircraft and everything, they don't allow you to take the sharp tips used on a voltmeter and stab into the wires to make a measurement. Now, in the case you do that, if you try to do that, even if you try to, and you don't get a reading, you're not sure you're making contact with the wire inside of the wire that's covered with this insulation. You're never sure when it doesn't read. But with this, you know a magnetic field is difficult to shield, and you know you're going to read it. You know what you're reading.
So there's a tremendous a variable there when you're trying to stick a probe into a wire, whether you're actually making contact, and so that could convolute the testing process quite a bit and drive people crazy. That's what I would think. Am I right?
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. Well, if you don't get a reading, you don't know if it's making contact.
Right.
But first of all, you're not allowed to do that. Although it is being done, but with this device, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So it retains the integrity of the insulation on the wires.
So basically, when the light comes on, the light comes on.
That's it. You're right.
Bartol mag probe solenoid valve and relay tester. Its operation is completely isolated from computer loading issues often present with a voltmeter test instrument. Now, before the advent of the Bartol mag probe, I understand the cost of service in terms of time, manpower, and loss of productivity was significant. Now, checking electrical solenoid valves and relays using a conventional voltmeter requires shutting down the production line in order to isolate the defective part and or shut off computerized controls to prevent loading of the computer output drivers. I keep bringing this up because I wanted to ask how many production lines are dependent on computer drivers these days?
Well, I would say probably
just a ballpark.
About 80 to 90%. It's really high, extremely high, and to troubleshoot those is really a big effort to do that. And for one thing, you don't want to upset the balance of your whole system by injecting another load attached to the system. And this is totally isolated, which is beautiful. You're totally isolated from the problem, so you know that what you're attaching or hanging onto it isn't causing the problem.
So there is a really big advantage to not having to shut down production lines and having to reboot them up, or it just creates a complicated process when you have to use a voltmeter. Even though they do use them, it is a lot more complicated than using a mag probe, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, your mechanic can do this essential, the first test on it before he calls the electrician or somebody with the voltmeter. He has nothing but the mag probe. He can do that. Now, that's being done in many of the manufacturing processes now, including robotics, where they building cars or what. We just shipped to some of the automotive manufacturing companies now, and they check their robotics with it, with their little motors that drive on the robotic arms.
So basically, it's going to take a lot of load off the electronics technicians out there that are responsible doing all the testing right now. So if you have that many more mechanics than technicians, they could actually isolate the problem and just call the technician when it needs to be replaced. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. If they see it's okay electrically, that they're getting the signal and everything, as it should be, because you're generating a magnetic field with a solenoid valve, and you're picking it up with a mag probe, you know it's mechanical.